CBS Sports. Let's dive into this. CBSSports.com with how to fix the Browns in 2022. Number one, fix the quarterback position, and it's hard to argue with that. The quarterback position has to be significantly better.
No question. This is kind of like, when you're fixing your house, you got to make sure that the foundation is fine, and then you worry about the roof and everything else that comes with it. But yeah, it's all about that position. And the Baker Mayfield dilemma is one that I'm not sure if there's an easy answer here. I do think it's interesting, and I think it's worth noting that 4 years in, they're really not sure about this guy. And I think that speaks volumes about where the Browns really feel about him. As you guys know, Andrew Berry came out yesterday and he said that they fully expect a healthy Baker Mayfield, to be their starter in 22. Well, we all know, especially in this town, there are absolutely no absolutes in sports. And so I think Baker Mayfield is the starter today. Tomorrow is Thursday, and we'll see what that brings. But clearly, they've got to get better play out of that position. Unfortunately for him, it began to tailspin with that injury in week 2 and only got worse from there. But, I have bigger questions beyond the injury with Baker. Is he the guy to lead this team? In many ways, the quarterback for an NFL franchise is as important or more important than the owner. He's really a CEO. And is this the kind of guy that you feel represents the organization best? Is he the leader of the team? Does he have the respect of guys in his locker room? And I think as we head into this offseason, all those questions are certainly out there about number 6.
Yeah, and again, for now, he's the quarterback, but everything in the NFL means not for long. So, I agree with you. Let's see where that is.
I'm sorry, Dave. I think they will obviously, explore every option that's possible, whether that means through trade or finding at least as good a quarterback on the free agency market. I think there are a lot of things that they can do. A trade straight up is going to be difficult to do because, first of all, you've committed yourself to a $19 million contract for next season. That's a big ticket number. And so, to find that comparable match, it's not like the NBA where the monies have to match up in terms of making a trade. But when you look around the league, who is that guy that you're going to go after? And as you know, it always takes two to tango. And you have to identify that team first of all, and they've got to be willing and eager to take on a guy like Baker Mayfield with all the baggage that comes with him. So it's going to be interesting. I'm glad I'm not the one making that decision or pulling that trigger, because I think Andrew Berry really has got himself a major dilemma this offseason.
Yeah, and where I was going with that, Andrew Berry's a good GM. I think we can say that, and good GMs listen to everything that is out there, and I'm sure he will. Number 2 on this list, add a number 1 wide receiver to the roster, and I wouldn't stop at number 1 wide receiver. You need to add multiple wide receivers to this roster.
I don't disagree with you, and my addendum to that, Dave, would be get yourself an upgrade at tight end. I think, Austin Hooper has just not, unfortunately, lived up to what everybody thought he was going to be, and obviously the money that they committed to him as a free agent. I do think David Njoku is a player that they'll strongly consider re-signing at the right price. I think Harrison Bryant has given them some good moments at that tight end position. But it's the way that this offense is constructed, Dave, that I think the tight end is as valuable as a number 1 wide receiver in many ways. Now, as far as the wide receiver is concerned, yeah, they need an upgrade there. I do think that Donovan Peoples-Jones has shown some potential, but I don't think he is a number 1. I think we all know that Jarvis Landry is not a number 1, even on, in any circumstances. And with him owed $15 million next year, that's going to be tough to see him come back. When Beckham left, you lost that deep, take the top off of a defense threat. And while we see some promise in Anthony Schwartz, he's not ready for that. So I'm with you. They got to go out and figure out a way to get a top target in here for whoever the quarterback is.
Yeah, I would agree. And we've kind of touched on number 3 is re-sign Jadeveon Clowney and David Njoku. So we touched on Njoku. Let's combine that with 4. Find some different making mainstays at defensive tackle. So basically they're saying you got to beef up the line a little bit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I think we all saw the Clowney Garrett pairing could not have gone much better, right? I mean, Clowney, who comes in here with all these questions about his durability, stays healthy. I think it's very clear that him being out there had an impact on the season that Myles Garrett had, and vice versa. And I would hope that Clowney, as he goes into the offseason, recognizes that the reason that he made all that money with the incentives built in with the sacks is because Myles Garrett was out there occupying 2 and 3 guys per snap. So I think he's one that they will strongly go after, Dave. I don't know, what what Clowney is looking for in terms of security, whether it's a multi-year deal or not. Myles Garrett said he's made the pitch to him a couple times. We all know that Clowney likes the warm weather. I also wonder about, what kind of teammate is he? And unfortunately, over the last couple of years, because of the pandemic, we don't have access to the locker room. So it's a very difficult thing for us to kind of get a sense on, chemistry. We've heard about that the last couple of days, right? Was this team as united as it needed to be? So, and I agree too that I think an upgrade at the defensive tackle, finding that stout guy that you can plug in there is very important. I think Malik Jackson, who was signed to a 1-year deal, gave you some nice moments. I think Tommy Togiai, who was drafted last year, clearly as a development player, started to come on towards the end. I think we've seen enough out of Jordan Elliott to think that he could be in some kind of a rotation at that position. But I don't disagree. I think it's time to look for, that complementary guy, whether that's a Jadeveon Clowney type or not, somebody to pair on that side with Garrett that could make things better for the entire line.